My name is Jessica Torres. I was 25 years old when my sister handed me her newborn baby and disappeared for 17 years. She came back on his graduation day carrying a bakery cake that said, "Congratulations from your real, in blue frosting." What happened in that high school auditorium made my mother drop the cake, made my sister's fiancé walk out, and made 250 strangers give a standing ovation to a woman they'd never met before. This is my story. Before we start, if you're listening to stories about family, sacrifice, and the moments that change everything, take a second and subscribe to Midnight Drama Stories. Drop a comment right now and tell me where you're listening from and what time it is. I read every single one. Now let me take you back 17 years to a rainy Tuesday night that changed my life forever. I grew up in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Population 8,200. The kind of small town where your hairdresser knows about your breakup before you do, and the pharmacist asks how your grandmother's hip replacement went. My sister Lauren is 4 years younger than me. She was the popular one, the cheerleader, the girl who could walk into a room and light it up just by smiling. I was the responsible one. The one who made sure dinner was ready when Mom worked late. The one who drove Lauren to volleyball practice every Tuesday and Thursday for 3 years. I loved Lauren. I want you to hear that clearly. I loved my little sister the way older sisters do, with equal parts protectiveness and irritation, braided together so tightly you can't pull them apart. Our mother, Patricia, worked double shifts at the hospital. She was a nurse, always exhausted, always doing her best. Our father left when I was 9. I don't remember much about him except the sound of the door closing. The night everything changed, I was 25. I had just finished my associate degree in early childhood education. I was working at Little Sprouts Daycare, making $28,000 a year, and I had a studio apartment with a view of a grocery store parking lot. To me, it was everything. It was mine. Lauren was 21. She was in her junior year at Iowa State, studying communications. She had a boyfriend named Derek who drove a motorcycle and worked at his uncle's auto shop. Then one night in November, my phone rang at 11:47 p.m. It was Lauren. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. "Jess, I need you. Please come." I drove 35 minutes in the rain. My windshield wipers were broken, one of them anyway, so I had to lean forward and squint through the streaks. I kept the radio off. All I could hear was my heartbeat and the rain. When I got to her dorm, Lauren was sitting on the steps outside, hood up, arms wrapped around her knees. She looked like a kid. She was a kid. She handed me a folded piece of paper. Ultrasound. 26 weeks. 6.5 months pregnant, and I hadn't noticed. Mom hadn't noticed. Nobody had noticed because Lauren wore oversized hoodies and avoided family dinners for half a year. "Derek left," she whispered. "He said he's not ready. He blocked my number." I sat down next to her on those cold concrete steps. November rain dripping off the overhang. Streetlight buzzing above us. "What do you want to do?" I asked. She looked at me with red, swollen eyes. "I don't know." Mom found out the next day. I called her after I drove Lauren home. Patricia came over at 6 a.m., still in her scrubs from the night shift, and sat at my kitchen table without taking off her coat. "Lauren can't raise a baby," she said. "She's in college. She has her whole future ahead of her." "What about adoption?" I asked. "Adoption means paperwork. Paperwork means people in Cedar Falls will find out. You know how this town talks." I knew. Mom looked at me for a long time. Then she said the words that would define the next 17 years of my life. "Jessica, you're good with kids. You work at a daycare. You have your own place. You could do this." Not, "Would you do this?" Not, "Can I ask you for help?" Just, "You could do this." I should have said no. I should have asked 100 questions. I should have demanded to know what Lauren wanted, what the plan was, who would help. Instead, I said, "Okay." 3 months later, on February 9th at 4:32 in the morning, Lauren gave birth to a baby boy. 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Dark hair, tiny fists, lungs that could wake the entire maternity ward. I was in the delivery room. Mom was there too. Lauren was brave, I'll give her that. She didn't scream. She breathed through every contraction the way the nurse taught her, and when they placed him on her chest, she looked down at him for exactly 8 seconds. Then she turned her head toward the wall. "I can't," she whispered.
The nurse looked at me.
"Do you want to hold him?" I reached out. 7 pounds, 2 ounces. He stopped crying the moment I picked him up. His tiny hand curled around my finger and I thought, this is it. This is the rest of my life. I named him Carter. Lauren signed the temporary guardianship papers 3 days later from her dorm room. She didn't come to my apartment to see him. She didn't ask for a photo. She just signed, sent the papers by email, and 2 weeks later, she was back at Iowa State. I kept one thing from the hospital, a small white blanket with yellow ducks on it. The nurse had wrapped Carter in it when she first handed him to me. I folded it and put it in a fireproof box under my bed, next to the guardianship papers and Carter's hospital bracelet. Let me give you the next 5 years in snapshots. Carter at 1. First steps. He walked from the couch to the coffee table, 3 feet of open space, arms out like he was flying. I recorded it on a phone that had 64 megabytes of storage. I still have that video. Carter at 2. Mama was his third word after no and dog. Carter at 3. I was working full-time at the daycare, so I brought him with me. My boss, Angela, let me keep him in the toddler room. He learned his colors from flashcards I made out of cereal boxes. Carter at 4. I enrolled him in pre-K. I couldn't afford the fancy preschool across town, so he went to the public one near the grocery store. He came home every day with paintings covered in fingerprints and glitter. I hung every single one on my refrigerator. Carter at 5. First day of kindergarten. He wore a blue backpack that was almost as big as he was. He turned around at the classroom door, waved at me, and walked in without looking back. I sat in my car for 20 minutes and cried. During those 5 years, Lauren called me 4 times. Once to ask if I still had her high school yearbook. Once to tell me she graduated college. Once to say she got a job in Denver at a marketing firm. And once, when Carter was 4, to ask if he was doing okay. That call lasted 2 minutes and 37 seconds. I know because I checked my call log afterward and stared at it. She never sent a birthday card. Never sent money. Never asked to FaceTime. Never asked what his favorite color was or if he had allergies or what time he went to bed. Mom visited twice a year. Christmas and Carter's birthday. She brought gifts, the kind you buy in bulk at Costco. A truck. A stuffed animal. A pack of socks. She stayed for an hour, took a photo with Carter, posted it on Facebook with the caption, "Time with my grandson," and then left. She never stayed for dinner. Never offered to babysit. Never asked if I needed help. When Carter was 8, he asked me a question while I was folding laundry. "Mama, how come Aunt Lauren never comes to see me?" I stopped folding. A small t-shirt with a dinosaur on it hung from my hands. "She's busy, honey. She lives far away." Does she not like me? I knelt down so I was eye level with him. "She loves you, Carter. But I'm the one who's here. I'm the one who's always going to be here." He looked at me with those serious brown eyes. "I know. You're my real mom." Real mom. He said it so simply, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. If you've ever been the person who showed up when everyone else walked away, if you know what it feels like to be taken for granted while someone else gets the credit, then this story is for you. Hit subscribe and stay with me, because what happens at Carter's graduation will make you believe in justice. Carter's senior year, he was named valedictorian. Top of his class. 4.0 GPA. Accepted to the University of Iowa with a partial scholarship. He wrote his college essay about perseverance, about being raised by a single mom who worked 2 jobs and still made it to every parent-teacher conference. He didn't tell me what the essay said. I only found out later when his guidance counselor pulled me aside and said, "Mrs. Torres, your son wrote one of the most beautiful essays I've ever read." I'm not Mrs. Torres. I never married. But I didn't correct her. 2 weeks before graduation, Lauren called. First time in 11 months. "Hey Jess, I'm coming to Carter's graduation." I was washing dishes. I turned off the water. "You are?"
"Yeah."
I wouldn't miss it. He's my son. My son. Not our son. Not the baby I gave you.
My son.
He'd like that. I said, even though I had no idea if that was true. I'm bringing someone, she added. His name is Brian. We're engaged. He's a financial advisor. Super successful. He wants to meet Carter. Okay. And Jess? I'm bringing a cake. Something special. I want to make this day really memorable for him. She hung up before I could ask what kind of cake. Graduation day. May 18th, sunny, 72 degrees.
Perfect.
Carter wore a navy blue cap and gown. I helped him adjust his tassel that morning. He was nervous. I could tell because he kept checking his pocket where he'd folded his speech. You're going to be amazing, I told him. He smiled. Then he reached into his backpack and pulled out something small. The blanket. The white blanket with yellow ducks that I'd kept in the fireproof box for 17 years. I found this last week when I was looking for my birth certificate, he said. You kept it. Of course I kept it. He folded it carefully and tucked it into his suit jacket pocket, under the gown where no one could see.
For luck, he said.
We drove to the high school. The auditorium was packed. 250 people, maybe more. Rows of folding chairs, a stage with a podium, a banner that said Class of 2024. I sat in the fourth row. Mom sat 3 rows behind me. She waved when she saw me, but didn't come over. Then Lauren walked in. She looked different.
Polished.
Hair blown out, designer dress, heels that clicked on the gym floor.
Next to her was Brian.
Tall, suit, expensive watch. He looked like someone who says circle back in meetings. And in Lauren's hands was a cake. White frosting, blue lettering, big enough to serve 30 people. Congratulations from your real MOM. She carried it down the center aisle like it was a trophy. People stared. I heard whispers. She set it on a table near the front, made sure the lettering faced the audience, and sat down in the second row. Mom saw the cake. Her face went pale. I sat in my chair and didn't move. The ceremony started. Principal gave a speech. Band played. Then they called Carter's name. Valedictorian. Carter Torres. He walked to the podium, adjusted the microphone,
Pulled out his speech.
then he stopped. He looked at the paper for 5 seconds. Then he folded it, put it in his pocket, and started speaking without notes. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I've been working on this speech for 6 weeks, but this morning, I realized the most important thing I want to say isn't written down. The room went quiet. I want to thank the woman who raised me. The woman who worked at a daycare, making barely enough to pay rent, but still made sure I had new shoes every school year. The woman who taught me to read before kindergarten, who sat with me at the kitchen table every night helping with homework, who never missed a single parent-teacher conference in 12 years. He looked directly at me. She didn't give birth to me, but she chose me every single day for 17 years. She wrapped my lunch in napkins with little notes.
She taught me to tie a tie.
She sat in the ER with me when I broke my arm and didn't sleep for 2 days. Lauren's smile was fading. Her name is Jessica Torres. She's my mother, not biologically, but in every way that actually matters. The auditorium erupted. People stood, clapping, some crying. A woman 2 rows behind me was wiping her eyes with a tissue. I couldn't move. Tears were streaming down my face, and I didn't care who saw. Carter pulled the small blanket from his pocket, held it up. This is the blanket she kept from the day I was born. She kept it in a box for 17 years. That's who she is. That's what a real mom does. He looked at Lauren, at the cake. If you want to be in my life, I'm open to that. But you don't get to show up after 17 years with a cake and claim a title you didn't earn. The room was silent. Lauren stood up, grabbed her purse. Brian followed. They walked out. The cake stayed on the table. Mom sat frozen, staring at the floor. Carter finished his speech, talked about the future, about gratitude, about showing up. Then he stepped off the stage, walked to the 4th row, and hugged me. Thank you, Mama, he whispered. 250 people saw it, and every single one of them knew exactly who Carter's real mother was. After the ceremony, I found the cake still sitting on the table. No one had touched it. Mom approached me in the parking lot. Jessica, you didn't have to let him say that. You embarrassed Lauren. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Mom, I didn't tell him to say anything. He said what he needed to say. She's his mother. No, she's not. I am. I walked away. Later that night, Carter and I sat on the porch eating ice cream. His cap and gown were draped over the chair. The blanket was folded on the table between us. Do you think she'll call? He asked. Maybe. Maybe not. I'm okay either way. I know you are. He looked at me. You know what the best part of today was? What? Not the speech. Not the applause. It was when I looked at you in the fourth row and realized I've been looking at you my whole life. Every school play, every soccer game, every awards ceremony. You were always there. Always fourth row, left side. I didn't know he noticed. That's my spot, I said. Yeah, he smiled. It is. We finished our ice cream. The sun went down. Fireflies came out. And for the first time in 17 years, I wasn't worried about what anyone else thought. Because my son knew. And that was enough. If you've ever been the one who stayed when everyone else left, if you've ever loved someone not because you had to, but because you chose to, then you understand this story. Subscribe to Midnight Drama Stories for more real stories about family, sacrifice, and the moments that define who we really are. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever been the real parent to someone who wasn't biologically yours? I want to hear your story. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.